Pro wrestling talk from the four corners of parts unknown. This is That Wrestling Podcast.
Welcome to another edition of That Wrestling Podcast. It's Brian. I am the host. If you heard the last few moments of the Twippies, and I know that was a long one when we went back and reviewed it, I was like, whoa, that was a lot of awards, a lot of chitter chat. But yes, I'm the host now. Jason is off this week, but he'll be back in more often than not, I would have to say. But right now it is myself, Kevin, and Joe. Welcome, guys. Great to have you guys here. First off, I want to say, I want to congratulate Joe and his lovely wife, 15-year wedding anniversary the other day.
Yeah.
How about that? What sort of words of wisdom do you have to share for us and our esteemed listeners and viewers?
It has to be a lot better than what I said in my 10 years. So take it away.
That was so bad.
Very easy. Get a podcast and make sure she never listens to it. That is my advice to everyone for 15 years of marriage. And, thinking back of that 15 years, I mean, that was like, you guys were there.
Yes.
And that
really
was
good mashed potatoes.
I knew you'd mention that.
Still
15 years
really
later,
good.
you still like those mashed potatoes, but it's like, I would just go back because Kevin just, man, did you
drunk.
Swing and a miss?
Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah, I know.
Swing and a miss with old Claire.
Guys, hold that thought, because I just said he's not going to be on the show, but as I say that, he's popping on in. I can't believe the luck of it. We have a run-in during the show. We have a run-in.
Is there an orange in that beer?
Jason is here. Are you live at
Crypto.com
arena? Where are you?
I'm at the Yard House across the street from the Crypto.com arena in downtown Los Angeles.
Nice.
And I got a beer that's like big as my whole head.
Yes, you
nice.
do. Oh my.
Yeah.
Did you have to pay for that in crypto?
NFTs all the way.
NFTs.
Yes. And Jason is he's checking out the parts unknown Kings versus the parts unknown Penguins in hockey tonight. So
well, I mean, the fact that I just said downtown Los Angeles.
Yeah.
I think the gig is up on that.
I wasn't listening.
Everybody knows we're not from parts unknown.
Okay. Yeah. Fair enough. Oh, we held on to that so long. Jason, do you want to do our 2-minute situation, or you want to hang for a little longer? What's your agenda here?
All right, here's the deal. Mickie James is not going to win the Women's Royal Rumble. 2, nobody from AEW is going to be in the Men's Royal Rumble unless their names are Paul White or Mark Henry. Beth did mean anal sex Monday night on Raw, and the person that's going to defeat Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, Braun Breaker.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And finally,
you just broke that story.
For you idiots that were giving me shit last week during the Twippies, look who's fighting Becky Lynch for the women's title. At the Rumble.
I knew you had something to say about that.
Dewdrop all the way.
Oh my God.
And my prediction will still be correct. There will be no new woman champion in 2022.
Don't care.
I'm right. You got it.
I'm on top of this. So yeah. Have you guys done anything yet, or you guys just?
We just started.
We just started. Joe was giving marriage advice for his 15-year wedding anniversary.
Oh, so you guys haven't even done what are you wearing? Huh?
Haven't yet.
No. It's a perfect time.
Well, I'm not wearing a wrestling shirt because
you're not wearing a shirt.
I'm not a nerd.
Wait, you're wearing the goon.
Not wearing the goon. So, all right. Well, I just wanted to chime in with my 2 minutes of awesomeness.
Yes.
Brian, I'm sure you're doing a great job as the new host of That Wrestling Podcast. And I'll talk to you nerds next week.
All right, there it is. Look at that, Jason. Wow, we talked about this during the week, and I knew he was going to this hockey game, and I said we gotta do this segment called 2 minutes for Jason. Thinking about a hockey penalty, 2 minutes for high sticking or whatever. So Jason came in. He was a ball of fire, threw out his thoughts, and we're going to have our thoughts kind of in contradiction, maybe agreeing or not agreeing with him as the show goes on.
Speaking of 2,
yes,
with you being the host now, Brian, can we now call this That Wrestling Podcast 2.0? Since it's like, now it's officially changed.
I will allow that. Yes.
Are we gonna have to have colorful tie-dyed shirts now?
Yeah. We're gonna have to switch out the shirts.
We have to get rid of the black and white and go in living color.
Okay,
hyper-color shirts. Hyper-color shirts.
Hyper-color.
Shirts.
Let's bring that back.
Yes.
It's a new day. Yes, it is. As
TWP 2.0.
Wow. Beautiful. Yeah. I'm all about that. Was there anything more to wrap up about the wedding? Because we were talking about really. Mashed potatoes and Kevin not having luck with a lucky no lady
game whatsoever.
I didn't get action.
No, well, you know what? When you go up to a girl who does not know you and you say, "Hey, I hear you think I'm hot," that's not gonna work. And Brian, no, I still remember this because it made me crack up. And Brian, people do not be fooled. We've been saying Brian's such a good guy and everything. He has his devious moments, especially at my wedding when he knows Kevin's swinging a miss. Decided to go to the DJ and request Unanswered Prayers by Garth Brooks in honor of Kevin and Claire, and they had to dance on it. Yeah, that was Brian's thing. So
seemed like a good idea at the time.
It was hilarious. 15 years later, I still laugh at that.
Yeah. It all worked out in the end. That was a great night. Joe, sincere congrats on 15 years.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely amazing. We talked about the wedding, and as Jason said, we didn't even get to what are you wearing yet. I think that's no better place to get to than right now.
What are you wearing? What are you wearing? What are you wearing today? What are you wearing? What are you wearing? What are you wearing today?
Kevin, I'll let you start off show, since we just talked about a low light in your dating career. If you will.
It can go up from here.
It did.
It went up.
It did. And let me take a sip of my 10-year advice, everyone. I need a little sip of beer, right? No, I'm sporting Back in Black, original NWO classic shirt in honor of seeing Big Sexy tomorrow night at Harpo's in Detroit, Michigan. We'll hit up on it a little bit, but
we will.
GCW.
Kevin Nash comes home to the Motor City. I'm wearing, as again, pardon the pun, if you will, but as an homage to Jason, I'm wearing his original podcast. It was the SoCal Pro Wrestling Podcast with the Wrestling Bears on it. Since Jason has bequeathed the reins of hosting the podcast over to me, so I wanted to make sure I showed him that appreciation, because if he didn't start his original podcast, TWP doesn't happen, and I'm not here. So, that's how that all kind of fell into place, I guess.
Nice wording of bequeath, by the way. Very
nice. That's probably the high point of the show. Joe, what do you have, my friend?
Oh, he's brought it to me, so it can only go down from here. Well, I realize that this is Rumble season, and last week I sported the Austin 316 because he's a 3-time winner. I'm going with the Edge, Earn Your Scars, since he is the reigning Royal Rumble winner and a 2-time winner. For this month, every single week will be a Rumble winner t-shirt.
I love it.
That's great.
So this is theme for TWP 2.0.
You're gonna wear that. You're gonna wear that hacksaw shirt next week.
Oh,
pull that one out of the mothballs. He started it all.
You wish.
Yeah, it's Rumble season, guys. That's what's fun, man. This is where the really the road to WrestleMania begins. Things get pretty exciting.
I should mention road to WrestleMania. That's a pretty good saying.
Never
heard him say that before.
We'll see. I've heard a lot of stupendous. I've heard a lot of that so far this year about WrestleMania, and I cringe every time I hear that. I don't know how that passed by all of the Vince and whoever else in charge, but we have a stupendous WrestleMania. But before we get to that, Royal Rumble season is upon us, and the big news so far came out of Friday Night SmackDown, and this is, if you will, WWE's entry into the Forbidden Door. In theory. So I think everybody knows the news on SmackDown. They started to announce lot of the women participants in the women's rumble. They just kind of, I think Charlotte was in the ring, right? And she was like, here's who's in it. And she's in it too. And Mickie James is in it. And Mickie James is right now the Impact Knockouts World Champion. So everybody, you know, the eyes got big and said, excuse me? But she's Impact. And then they specifically mentioned it too. I didn't know, I missed it live, and I texted with Joe, and I read back and found it, and that, you know, Pat McAfee acknowledged it. You know, they clearly acknowledged, but she's the Impact Knockouts champion. So it's like, what is going on here? And yeah, so that's definitely where we have to start. Initial thoughts on this announcement. How is your excitement level, and kind of, do you think this is going to lead to something else more when it comes to cross promotional forbidden door situations? Kevin, feel free to start.
I think I like it. I do, just for the fact that WWE's biggest competitor, AEW, has done a lot of it. And I think WWE will be a little bit more, picky, not just bringing in, hey, Nick Gage just did a death match with Cardona, let's bring him in and fight Jericho immediately, right? Or let's bring the Good Brothers in for 3 straight months. Like, they're going to be, WWE will be very picky, and it'll be strategic. They, how can I put it? Treated Mickie James, even though we read that's what they always did with the garbage bags with their stuff. Mickie posted on it, got a lot of eyes on it. Stephanie posted saying the person has been let go. So it's kind of like almost like a being nice on both sides, right? So it's like they want to get to the point. Exactly. So they want to not be uncool, because AEW, when you bring in, open the forbidden door, it's kind of fun. WWE, need to be a little fresh. So who do they reach out to? Mickie James, because they can mend the fences. They can, you know what I mean? Kind of get rid of that, not the bad taste in the mouth on both ends. And it gets Impact talking. That's huge. Mentioning Impact on WWE SmackDown is massive. And it's going to be mentioned more and more and more. Are we going to see another person maybe surprise entry in the Rumble? Maybe. We're going to talk about that, later tonight during the 5 count. But I really, really enjoy it. I think she's going to come out. Is she going to come out to her old music? Is she going to come out to, isn't it like hardcore country? Right. So it's going to be, if they're going to mention Impact, I hope she comes out with the title. Hopefully she comes out with her Impact music. Otherwise, don't come out with your title if you're going to come out to the old Mickie James music. Go all in on her appearance. She's not a WWE wrestler.
Yeah.
It's not saying WWE wrestler Mickie James. Impact Females Knockout Champion. You know what I mean? She's their champion. Let her come out, go full all in, and I'm all for it. She won't win. I agree with Jay what he said, but I would love to see if she was like Final 4. And then it's in the back of your mind.
Yeah, like,
could she?
What's going on?
Could she? Like that?
Yeah,
that's the excitement I want to see. And I'm all for it. I'm excited for it.
Great thoughts. Joe, when you and I were texting, similar to what Kevin said, that was kind of your initial thought too, of it's probably just a one-time deal with Mickie because of some of those reasons Kevin said. Is that where your head's still at? And now that we've had a couple more days to think about it and stuff.
Yeah, it did not impact me at all. Like Brian was like all excited, like it was the second coming.
I did get excited.
You were so happy. You're like, great, oh my God. Like, and Jason was all mad at us because he was like, spoilers. And I didn't even say Mickie James in the text message. I said they didn't do anything with insert wrestler's name here.
Yeah, we did great.
When they were there. I kept it as low key as possible.
Yeah.
Now, I'm glad you went to Kevin first, because like Kevin is Captain Positive, and I'm not trying to be negative on this one. Okay. I'm trying to be realistic. WWE painted themselves in the corner when they started a women's Royal Rumble this year, because they fired almost the entire women's division.
Mm-hmm.
What women are left? I mean, it's pathetic enough that she who cannot be pinned has to be in the Royal Rumble because A, she has no competition because they fired everyone, and B, I don't think anyone even wants to work with her, and they're just going to keep her champ until Mania anyway, where we'll talk about this later with the very bad segment on Raw, which is setting up her opponent. But they painted themselves in the corner. They have no women left.
Every woman in NXT, it's basically everyone on the roster will be in it, right?
Have you seen who they've already said is going to be in it? Let's go over these Hall of Fame worthy competitors. They've mentioned Lita, which is great. Okay, but she's in it every year. Right. They've mentioned Kelly. Okay. Tori Wilson hasn't been named yet, but she'll show up. They've mentioned Michelle McCool.
Throwing a Victoria.
How many of those 4 are actually competitors right now? None. Okay, let's keep going. Mickie James didn't do anything with her before. Why would they do anything with her now? They're like, we still don't have any women. That's 5. One of my favorites coming back, Miss Melina versus Alicia Fox, the greatest match of all time. Yes, they are bringing back Cameron for the Women's Royal Rumble. Yep. That's 6. Yeah. Okay, we are now 1/5 of the competitors, and none of them work there, and none of them have a chance to even win it. So what's the point of the Women's Royal Rumble anymore when you fired everyone and then you realize we got to fill this with 30? We have to actually put our champion in here because we don't have enough. I mean, I am waiting for Stephanie to be in this because they don't have enough women who can possibly go in this Royal Rumble. It's going to be bad.
So you're saying Santina is going to come back?
He did. Whoa. Santina was in it 2 years ago.
Right. I thought you weren't trying to be negative. You said
no. It's realistic.
Then you said
it's realistic.
Things. Yeah,
all I did was just state facts.
Yeah.
So that was negative. That was realistic.
So Women's Royal Rumble should just be a fatal 5-way.
And here's the thing: who's the favorite?
Bianca.
I've got
again.
Well, I've got 2 names, but
I got 1. Bianca.
I've got 2 names, but we're
okay. Brian,
I think Bianca, Liv Morgan, right?
You want to hear mine now?
Yeah.
Well, Dewdrop's not going to be in it because she has a match.
Dewdrop. Well, she could still.
But sometimes I like it when they throw the person.
Becky did. Yeah.
Oh wait, they did say that Shayna Baszler and Dana Brooke are going to be in the Rumble too.
Mm-hmm.
Woo!
Man, you're destroying the Women's Royal Rumble, Joe, and you might be right. I mean, I get everything you said is logical about all the cuts and the lack of depth on the roster and having to bring back the legends. The 2 names I'll throw out there, Asuka. Asuka's been injured.
Yeah.
Asuka, we haven't seen in a long time. If she's healed, a great time to bring her back. And the wild card in it all is Ronda Rousey.
Oh, that's right.
Those would be big ones. And, I can hear Jason from crypto.com arena going, that's right. I said that. So
I called it.
Yeah, but I'll take the credit for it on this instance. But get back to Mickie James and that whole thing. I think that's absolutely right. Was because of the bad blood online of what happened with her release and the treatment and everything. I think that's the first step. But I think the thing that gives me a little bit of hope is that Impact right now is not in any sort of competition with WWE. They run on Thursday nights, like the one night of the week, it seems that WWE doesn't have a show or any sort of program. And they're on the Access channel. Their ratings are like, when I peek at that, it's like they get like 85,000 to 100,000 viewers compared to SmackDown that has like 2.1 million, right? Yeah. So and they're not even close to competition, but it can create some buzz. So I think there's, I think the majority of my head is thinking this is a Mickie James WWE thing and that's going to be it. But there's just a little bit in there that goes, they could maybe do some Impact things. And it's, it's not AEW. It's not, a big, where you're helping the competition because AEW is competition in that sense. So we shall see how it comes. I like Joe, like you said, I was excited. I definitely went, what is happening with this? Okay, I think we kind of discussed talking about just, they kind of right off the bat went off and said, here's who's in it. And I feel
the Bella
like
twins too.
the
I
Bella
forgot.
twins are in it.
They don't
of
work
course.
there either.
No, they don't work there. Hall of Famers, the Bella twins. Did anybody, have a strong like or dislike for how they did just go like, here's who's in it? I mean, I guess I feel like in most years you kind of know, or at least they know like, oh, so-and-so's number 30. But my initial thought was, wow, they're just, throwing everybody out there, including all these, if you want to use the term legends that would normally be surprises.
I think it was part way of announcing Mickie.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
you
think build it up that way. I get that.
Build it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Now, if they keep on announcing, like I like the legends, some of them as a surprise. Let me rephrase, because Joel listed off a lot of ladies' names and they're not a lot of legends. But like, keep a few of them surprises.
Yeah.
Like if you're just gonna have all main roster peeps now, and you named off all like the surprises, because it is fun when you're like 5, 4. Oh, I got Kelly, dang. And now you're like, ooh, am I gonna get Kelly? Dang. Like, right? Like those type
of Joe got Cameron because he ripped on her.
Yeah.
Serve you right. So. Jason got Ronda Rousey.
Let's hope so.
Let's hope not for that one.
I think you're right, Kevin, though. I do think, hey, like, how do we get some buzz with Mickie James? And maybe that was the right avenue to do that. So that totally makes sense. Another Royal Rumble addition was Roman Reigns' challenger, and it's Seth Rollins. What brand split is there anymore? Are we starting to already see the end of that? Because he was just on SmackDown. He just got drafted to Raw. Now he's going there. I don't know if they'll even bother explaining it. I mean, in my head, I think it's the product of two guys that would probably be a likely challenger. Jeff Hardy, I could have seen him being in that spot. He's gone. And Drew McIntyre apparently has a very serious neck injury, and we don't know, if and when he might be coming back, but he's out for now. So it's kind of sounded to me like they kind of were just, we got no one left. Who can we put in? Joe, what's your thoughts on the Seth announcement? Do you think that's a good direction to go in, or any other thoughts?
Yes, because I think that they are moving the blue belt to change it to the red belt. The Universal Championship is going to be going back to Raw. And Brock, since he's a free agent, the WWE Championship is going to be SmackDown. And next month, Elimination Chamber, Reigns wins that to face Brock at Mania. And that's when he gets that championship back. That's what I see happening. While Rollins will be the Universal Champion. And I could see him facing someone like Kevin Owens.
Yeah.
For the championship, because it doesn't matter, because they've been building up Brock and Roman for, 10 years now? So we're going to be getting that match. But this time it's, it's fresh. It's a fresh matchup between those two, which is what most people are going to be looking forward to. So Brock will retain WWE Championship since he's a free agent. I see Roman losing.
Yeah, I was saying you're calling a Seth Rollins win.
He just got 500 days.
Yeah,
Seth has been on fire lately, and I think this is a make good for him, because from all the rumor reports was he was supposed to come out of day one as WWE champion, but they had to throw a wrench into there. So they're like, oh, why not? We'll just move the Universal Championship. But did you guys notice on SmackDown that what Seth's secret knock was?
Yeah, that was great.
That was awesome.
Did you catch that, Kev?
No.
Go ahead, Jeff.
His secret knock was the Shield theme. It was.
Oh, because that's why
Roman answered.
Okay,
right.
Gotcha.
He gave a look and he went, "Come in."
Yeah.
So
that was great.
One thing that I didn't know was a thing until I listened to Busted Open this week. There is no pay-per-view between Royal Rumble and WrestleMania this year. It's no pay-per-views between those events.
So there won't be an Elimination Chamber?
No Elimination Chamber.
Well, I saw a report today though that they're thinking that there's going to be a Saudi Arabia show. So if that counts, and then that maybe the Elimination Chamber would be there. So, but that's kind of that's a very special. Goldberg's gonna win, and Undertaker's coming back, and Kane. Yeah. So we'll have to see. I think that's I see some logic in your thoughts there, Joe. I wouldn't think Seth's the guy to do it, not because of him not being worthy, but because this whole concept just feels kind of thrown together. So, but we shall see. We shall see. Let's go on to Monday Night Raw. So it had a couple of noteworthy things. I know we have some strong opinions on the return of Alexa Bliss. Okay, so if you guys seen it, she was basically talking to a psychiatrist, a doctor, if you will. And I guess the first impression is, because we didn't know, right? First impression is she comes back still as this dark Alexa Bliss, from The Fiend and the Alexa's Playground. So I didn't know if she was going to come back and be, her original character or still do that.
That's all Kevin cares about.
Well, you guys be honest.
And so I was a little disappointed in that, but I was like willing to give it a shot, because if that's the story to maybe get her out of this character, like she's at the doctor and she gets her mental health fixed, if for lack of a better phrase, maybe that's the way to go. But the consensus, I think, from watching that first segment was, what is this? What is this? And I know Jay think that was awful. And Joe, you agreed.
Yeah, it was awful. There's really nothing much to say. It's setting up because she wants revenge because a doll was torn apart by She Who Cannot Be Pinned. So that'll be the Mania match that no one cares about. Moving on, I want to stick with the positive of Raw because there was some.
Okay.
What do you think? What do you think, Brian? Did you think of any positives on Raw?
Of Raw itself?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Brock and Bobby having a little fun in the beginning was great. The knockdown. I mean, again, Brock as Brock's telling knock jokes, and Paul with that line of Brock Lesnar's telling knock jokes in Philadelphia. I thought I've seen it all. That's one of those, or he was on microphone, but he kind of wasn't, right? And you just go lost in the moment there. So that was fun. And one of my points I was going to say, we have new tag champs, the Alpha Academy, Gable and Otis. They're fun. And reading after the fact that they won, that these guys have had this relationship as friends for years and years. And I didn't really know that. So that's really cool to see. That makes me root for the success of those guys. I think that's logically, though, is this where we're starting to see the end of RK Bro? I think, given the time of the year that we're in, given that we lost the belts, Randy, Riddle, WrestleMania, it's a big match. You guys agree?
Someone's going to turn on someone at the Rumble.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's going to lead to the match. I would absolutely love to see Riddle eliminate Randy.
Yeah. You think that's what starts it?
I think it doesn't really matter. Randy can do no wrong in my eyes this past year.
Yeah.
And I thought that was great too. I love the attack Randy on the hand. And he's like, you have good handwriting. I can't believe Riddle is actually entertaining me. But it was
that's a switch for you.
There was another breakup that happened on Raw.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It might have went too long,
mm-hmm.
the setup, but I hope this is either the end of Nikki ASH, or if she's going to do the superhero, now she'll be the super villain.
That's where I think it is. Yeah.
It was logically, she had to be the one to turn. It wasn't going to be Rhea because it's been done to death. The bigger one beating up the smaller one, dead weight, kind of like Enzo and Cass.
Yeah.
And I'm just glad that it's finally over for both of them, and hopefully something happens with them where at least one of them can be salvaged in the women's division in 2023, because it's going to take about a full year for all the damage that was done in 2021, because they're both way too talented to be where they're at. So it's going to take a full year of them to build their brand up to be monsters of 2023. And I hope it happens.
Yeah. I agree with all that. It really started when they had that triangle with Charlotte, where like every week they were all fighting each other, and Charlotte, of course, ends up on top of winning the feud. And then they kind of said like, well, we can't beat Charlotte. Let's get together, right? Because we can't beat Charlotte. And, the women's tag team division isn't really a tag team division. There is no tag team division. No disrespect to Tamina and Natty, right? Who, of course, personal favorites.
The champs are? Do you even know who the champs are?
Yes, it's Carmella and Zelina. But that's exactly it. It's like they won from Nikki and Rhea, and who are their challengers? I don't even know. So so they got a lot of work to do. I thought you're right. It kind of was well done, but I think Nikki being the heel and doing the attacking, I thought was good, and we'll see where that leads, if she sticks with that super villain attitude or goes back to being like crazy Nikki Cross or what. Moving on to AEW, interesting show for a number of different things. This match I thought was really well done. CM Punk and Wardlow, of course, they're doing the whole like MJF teasing it, like, you want the match, fight Wardlow. You want the match, fight so-and-so, right? So Wardlow looked like an absolute killer. Absolute killer. I think it was 8 power bombs.
8 on it. The 8th one was on the table.
One through a table on the outside. Yeah. And then the finish, because of course the match is going on, and there's the whole MJF barking the orders. And that, first off, that was what I thought I was really looking forward to in this match, because it handles 2 stories. It handles MJF and Punk, but it also handles the MJF Wardlow tension of Wardlow turning. So I'm like, okay, there's a lot happening here. I'm invested in this. But CM Punk, after all of that, wins with a small package.
I don't mind it,
guys. Okay, Kevin.
What?
Yes,
I don't mind it. I don't mind it. I don't mind it. And logically speaking, truly logically speaking, you knew CM Punk was going to win the match.
More than likely. It wouldn't have been clean, but yes,
exactly. How else would a guy win who took 8 power bombs, got absolutely destroyed? It had to have been something like that. I wasn't surprised when I saw it.
Could have been it.
Well, that is true. I wasn't surprised when I saw the finish. I didn't dislike the finish. There was one thing I really liked about that. It made me a Wardlow fan. Just seeing him really well, and seeing him like grab MJF's hand, and you're just like, whoa, buddy, they have a star. Just like Powerhouse Hobbs, right? When he's in that ring, he looks like a star. He can actually wrestle. Wardlow, I was always like, oh, he's kind of boring, but just power bomb after power bomb. Because like last week we saw the same thing, all those power bombs, and then with CM Punk, you're just like, ooh, are you gonna hurt him? And then when MJF was pointing at the table, you're like, no. And then you see it, you're like, ooh, went back in the ring. And yeah, it was that ending. It made me want to see more Wardlow. And they got exactly what they intended to do. They want you to be behind Wardlow in that, right? And see the tension between him and MJF. Next week, it's going to be more and more. Sean Spears coming out in his like suit with the white tennis shoes. I don't know. Get out of the ring. But like, I would have rather have seen Wardlow take the hand, pull him close, and like push him down with MJF on the ground, and then Wardlow walk away.
I gotcha.
Like something like that. Not Sean, coming out smiling. Oh no. Like, come on. Like,
but okay. And I'm with you on all that, but you don't think that small package didn't like take Wardlow's stock down a notch, that like you could be this badass killer and then like, whoop, oh, I lost again.
It didn't hurt him because he got all those power bombs off. And that's what you're talking about. I'm not talking about CM Punk in the W. I'm talking about Wardlow giving 8 power bombs, not baby power bombs either. Like he comes down with power. Like a guy taking so many Man, that CM Punk, if he could literally walk straight today and not have back problems, shoot.
Respect to Punk for doing that,
for being willing to do that.
Exactly. Yeah, that was definitely impressive on his end. Joe, any counterpoint to any of that?
Yeah, it was a terrible ending. There's no way the small package should be beating anyone after you just took 8 power bombs by a monster, one of them through a table. I mean, they treated the small package like I tweeted out earlier this week. Hogan's leg drop, Austin Stunner, the pedigree, the F5, whatever, like all these devastating moves ain't got nothing on the surprise roll up.
Yeah.
That is the most devastating move now. And it's a terrible, terrible way to end the match, especially from someone who couldn't even stand up, but all of a sudden he had enough power to hold down come on. I mean, this could have seriously been Wardlow's coming out. It could have, like, the way they were setting it up, I was picturing Batista's thumbs down moment. That was what was going to happen with Wardlow. And, we are still, the majority of it, we're talking about Wardlow. But we got to, like, call it out as in, that was a terrible ending. Punk can lose. It's okay to lose. But no, they have to set it up where, MJF's going to get his first loss? Great. But MJF has lost beforehand too, so it doesn't matter. It was a terrible ending to what should have been Wardlow's coming out.
What do you think about this kind of compromise? Somehow, maybe Sean Spears comes down. The match is still going on. They're in the ring. Sean Spears comes down for whatever reason, because that's what he does. And Wardlow is up against the ropes. He's looking at MJF, who's on the apron, like telling him to powerbomb him again, powerbomb again. CM Punk comes from behind because the referee's distracted by Sean Spears. Low blow, then the small package.
But he didn't have, but after, like, he couldn't even stand up and all of a sudden he can. That was bad. This is what I was thinking should have been after the 8 power bombs, right? The ref stops the match because Punk can't go on anymore. Okay. MJF is still telling him to powerbomb. The ref is warning him, no, stop. And he keeps doing it. MJF causes the ref to reverse the decision. CM Punk wins, even though he can't stand. That would have saved the feud. It would have kept Punk undefeated and still made Wardlow a monster who eventually is going to destroy MJF. Yeah. That's the way I would have booked it. But with this, that's Sunday morning quarterback. Or Monday morning quarterback. So it is what it is. I hope it turns out okay.
Yeah. I like I said, I love the match until the finish. I thought it was just a bit of a misstep, but not something that they can't recover from by any stretch.
And what did Jason say in the text? That ending was what?
I don't remember. What did he say? I don't remember.
I have to. It was a. Wow, let's go to it. Hey, come on! I should have had this already ready because I just remember remember when he had it. Shit. It was I completely agreed with him.
Awesome.
No, he did not say awesome.
Oh, shocking.
Yeah, he said awesome. I'm so glad that happened.
Awful. Close.
Well, he said it was trash. And then he said, I'll come to it. Keep going.
All right. Not a worry. So yeah, that's certainly a divisive moment on AEW. Lance Archer's back. That was one guy that's like, goodness, kind of forgot about him. He comes out, he attacks Hangman Page. Kevin, initial thoughts on Lance Archer's return? Is him maybe the next guy for Hangman, and kind of where does that go?
I like it. I like it because it was kind of in the back of your mind of kind of forgot about him a little bit. Not that he's forgettable. It's just AEW has so many people, right? You kind of, if somebody's off for a little bit, you kind of forget about him. I love it. It kind of closes the door on the Bryan Danielson, right? Yes. They had that amazing match, set up a next opponent right away. And I love it. And Hangman, looked amazing in that match. Now, Archer's coming out and puts a little whooping, and here we go. I'm all for it. I don't see Hangman losing, but
neither.
Archer at some point, hopefully will wear the championship, but there's so many guys in AEW that I want to see wear the championship, and I just don't want it to be a merry-go-round. So we'll see.
Yeah.
I do like it though, and hopefully they don't kind of mess it up.
Yeah, the only thing I have is like we'll see where it goes because it was just basically an attack, right? But you're going to presume it leads to a match, and I know AEW makes a big deal about their rankings, and so it's like, well, this guy just came back, so how is he going to get a shot? But we'll cross the bridge when we get there.
New Year wipes it out.
Okay, all right. I'll accept that.
They actually mentioned that a few times during the show. Like
they did. You're right. You're right.
Yeah, they mentioned it's like, it's a new year, so everyone's 0-0. So
yeah,
that's why it logically makes sense.
I get that.
Archer's a beast, and I was very happy to see him back. I didn't realize he was gone for 5 months.
Yeah, it didn't seem that long, but certainly a little while.
Yeah, so it's like he's awesome in the ring. He's awesome back, and I consider him like an AEW original. A pillow,
that's fair,
as JR would say. So, and no Jake.
Yeah. I don't know.
That is probably positive.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with that. If Jake is just being COVID safe, maybe, who knows at his age. But so that was that. And then the other big one was new member of the roster, Brody King. He comes out, helps out Malachi Black when he was being triple teamed. And admittedly, I don't know much about the guy, but I will say he looks physically impressive. He's a big dude. He has more tattoos than even Malachi, if that was even possible.
Crazy.
So it seems like a great fit. And I thought the debut itself was really well done, and that, Malachi was getting triple teamed. Right. So it's like, okay, I got my new member of the House of Black. Any initial thoughts too on how that all came about, guys?
Loved it.
Yeah.
And I'm like you, I don't know much about Brody King except for Jay mentioning, guys, look up this dude. He's awesome. He's awesome. Self-admittedly, I never did. I'll be honest. I was lazy. Now I go back immediately after he goes, and I think I texted him like, you guys all live? And when everyone's like, yes, I'm live. I'm like, that dude is scary, or that dude's massive. Like his tats, like it is crazy. Like it's just one massive tat on his belly and chest. And he's a big dude. His legs are like thick, right? Like tree trunks big. I don't know how much he weighs. That dude has to be at least 320.
How much that guy weigh?
In just Art Donovan over here. Yeah.
When
he ran and did, the somersault thing when the guy's like kind of sitting on the turnbuckle on his butt on the mat, he came in with such force. I was just like, holy crap. I don't know which if it was Garrison or Pillman Jr. But I mean, like, I was like, man, that dude's dead. That dude is dead, because Brody King, that dude is solid, and he came in like with a cannonball. Woo wee. But the one thing I really didn't like is when they were triple teaming him. Julia Hart was just like, stop.
Really? I thought she was egging them on.
I thought
she was saying stop. Like it's. I thought it was like, that's not enough. Like I bet maybe I'd have to go back and watch it.
And then that's the thing. She said it, and then there was a pause, and then the lights went out.
Oh, okay.
Like at least that's when I remember watching.
Yeah, maybe I thought she said, "Don't stop."
It was just
like,
odd. I was like,
"Don't stop, keep hitting."
Like,
but I don't know.
Gonna like be in the ring and be bad, like
right.
But I loved it though. The dude is scary looking.
Yeah.
Great,
very intimidating.
Debut.
Yeah.
Definitely,
very good debut.
Made some noise.
And it helps the tag team division, to be honest.
Yeah, if that's the direction they want to go. Yeah.
There was one thing that's like they shouldn't do anymore now. Malachi Black gets the lights out. Brody King gets the lights out. Don't turn the lights out for Sting and Darby at the next segment,
I'm with you.
because it's like I'm kind of like,
good call.
It was the very next segment where the lights went out when 2.0 was like, or no, not 2.0. That's our show, but it was it was like, don't turn the lights out for everybody now. Just you can keep Darby and Sting and just do the snow and the ominous music. They don't need the lights out.
Yep.
Yeah.
little thing like that. I agree.
Speaking of lights out, Brian, what do you have anything to say about
speaking
the
of
lights?
you guys know, I don't know. I do nerd out for like production and video and cameras and all that stuff. I have a weird affinity for that sort of thing. And I said it to you guys early on watching the show. I go, guys, does it seem like they only have the lights on like the first 2 rows of the crowd? And like Dynamite usually feels so big, like everybody's lit and you see this great audience, at least on the main camera side. Mm-hmm. And then, you know, people, we were going online and like finding pictures from the arena, and it looked like there was like a whole side that was empty. And I don't know, it was just bizarre. And I hope that was just a one-time occurrence of, hey, this is because of the crowd and the size and the setup. This is how we're going to make it look and appear. But yeah, it bothered me. I don't know if anybody cared before I mentioned it, but
nope.
I didn't care
nope.
before.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you.
Nope.
Didn't care too much afterwards, but it's all I could think about. I'm like, Brian.
After you said it, it was like eyes on.
Nah, I know.
People I can see.
I don't know.
The guy
I was just looking at the 3 rows
with the full COVID mask up to like his eyes. I just remember seeing that guy.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking, Brian's just getting really annoyed right now. If it's not the shaky cam, it's the bad lighting.
Right. We're talking the shaky cam, the multiple cuts during a fight. Like I hate that stuff. So like it's something like that for whatever reason catches my eye. It's admittedly my nerding of wrestling, my little angle that I always seem to go to is like, how is this looking and feeling and stuff? And I didn't think the crowd compared to like some of their other shows was like all that into it. A lot of times they're like so into it that I'm like, calm down, guys. It's just Riho. You know, we don't need to be like chanting "This is awesome" and everything. But that's what makes AEW fun, and it struck me weird. So we'll keep an eye on that. I will. None of you guys will. I will, and that's totally fine. That's my thing. All right. Speaking of shows, I'm so happy. Me and Kevin are going to go to GCW on Friday night. Maybe you're listening to this on Friday morning. Tonight, they got their little shows that they're doing at Harpo's in Detroit, and Saturday they're in Chicago. And next week they have their big show that if you have followed GCW a little bit, they're doing the legendary Hammerstein Ballroom in New York City. It's a sold out show. I'm sure it's the biggest show they've ever done. So we get a little taste of it on Saturday. Not going to go into too much, but it's just some of the card that has been promoted. We got Leon Ruff. I was getting tongue twisted with the Rough Riders. And wanted to start barking there. But Leon Ruff, I love it. He's a Detroit guy, so he's going to be there against Rich Swann. We've got Bussy, I think is how I pronounce it. Bussy or Bussy. It's Effie and Allie versus Too Cold Scorpio and Ricky Morton. What are we watching? WCW Saturday night at 6:05? Ricky Morton and Too Cold Scorpio, guys. My goodness.
I love it.
That's gonna be great. That's gonna be great. We got Alex Shelley and Jimmy Jacobs. I know Shelley is a Detroit guy. Jacobs, I know the name. I've never really seen him, so we'll see how he does. And then maybe the main event is Matt Cardona and Rhino. That's that's from WWE main event. That'll be the main event.
Superstars on WGN.
How much fun was it for me this week to explain to my wife like who was wrestling and like why they weren't in WWE when it came to like Zack Ryder and stuff. That was a fun conversation I had. And then the other parts of it is they're calling it Sabu and Kevin Nash Come Home. And the fact that I'm seeing Kevin Nash, of all people, a literal heavyweight champion of all of wrestling, Hall of Famer, the fact that I'm seeing him at Harpo's in Detroit, which is two-time Hall of Famer. That's right, Joe. At Harpo's in Detroit, this rundown concert hall in a bad section of Detroit. And it's just going to be a total mind-blowing experience. Kevin, you've been to GCW back in Las Vegas before SummerSlam. Any other tips I need to know going into this about what to experience from the live show?
I haven't been to that many, independent things. I went to Knights of Columbus in Howell, Michigan. It's good to see for a lot of local stuff. This is some pretty big names. Somewhat, similar to the Vegas. A lot of similar names. You didn't mention Dark Chic.
I've seen that name on the card, but I don't know.
She's crazy. She was in a match in Vegas, man, and they just kept on using staple guns and taking dollar bills and stapling all over each other's bodies. Like that, she's wild. Like, I mean, she's there's
better be careful.
Stuff. And we're gonna see a death match
on Friday.
Friday night.
Is that the one where there's like 5 people scramble?
No, that one's like it's like one? What? No, it was what is it, like
Cologne and Hoodfoot?
Hoodfoot. I was gonna say
Hoodfoot.
Hoodlum, but like
him too.
Hoodfoot. I'm the deathmatch stuff kind of freaks me out, kind of scares me. So that's gonna be interesting. I'm just excited. It's loud. People want to be there, right? WWE. Kind of is boring parts in every show. Yeah. The one in Vegas was like 100 miles an hour all the way through. And it starts off with like a multi-man, 5-6 man. I forget what they call it. Jay's like, yep, they do it every single GCW event. They start off with, 4, 5, 6 guys in the ring and they just go crazy. That one I can see Sabu kind of being in, kind of like that first one. Okay. But I'm excited to see how Kevin Nash gets thrown in there somehow. Maybe he goes against Cardona at the end. Who knows? But it's going to be fun. And hopefully we don't get shot or be given drugs, leaving Harpo's.
I know you talk about a death match, and Harpo's is like, hey, we're all about this, right? It's just like, it's a rough part of town.
We're going back. Are you going to wear
that's just the parking lot?
I know. The parking lot is.
Should we both bring our Zack Ryder headbands for a pick?
I'd have to find it.
I'd have to
find it. Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be able to pull that off. Jason off air said he plans on getting it. Joe, do you think? Oh, he's got the Broski headband.
Nice.
Kevin, pick it up on your way. All right, go grab that from Joe if you can't find yours. Joe, do you think you'll get it? Any idea? What do you think your Friday is? My goodness. Okay.
Probably Fridays are rough. It's like basically Fridays are just exhausting. It's usually just I'm asleep by like 8:30.
Smack down on the couch.
Watch half of it.
Maybe maybe that's right. The card starts at 7. That's true. That's true.
But I don't get home till close to 7. So it's like I'm just like Fridays are just draining after a long week. So it's pretty much. I highly doubt I'm going to watch it. So I'll just take your guys' word for it.
We'll give you a full report next week. And I know you will be watching, and we'll all be watching the Royal Rumble in a couple of weeks. And we touched on the big news about Mickie James entering the Royal Rumble. And so that's going to lead us to this week's 5 Count.
That Wrestling Podcast presents the 5 Count.
All right, this week's 5 Count. So talking about the forbidden door of wrestlers who may be coming to the Royal Rumble. And I'm put this in kind of a multi-category of top 5 non-WWE roster members. So this could be like a legend who's not on the roster or a forbidden door member, men or women. As long as they're not on the roster, they can be part of your 5 Count. I'm happy to start if you guys wouldn't mind, as I am the host. Thank you very much. My number 5, because wouldn't this get some laughs? Samoa Joe. Could you imagine? He's been fired twice this year. Oh no, Kevin, did you have him? All right, we'll get to Kevin's list later.
We'll see.
There's still to come. I think that'd be hilarious.
But Kevin has 15 guys on his 5 Count.
So that's true. Just cycle them out. Yep. It would be amazing. What of all the year he's had, and just the laughs that would elicit to be like, wait a minute, we'll have to see if that happens. That'd be number 5. My number 4, I mentioned him in the chat earlier this week when we kind of talked about this idea. Jay White from New Japan. So Jay White was announced for the weekend prior. He's going to be taking part in the next set of Impact tapings. Of course, he is a major player in New Japan Pro Wrestling. Can he stay in America for another week? Seems easy enough. He's a big name. New Japan, again, not really a direct competition thing to WWE. Maybe that opens up a door for New Japan to have some sort of future agreement. So that's my number 4. My number 3 is the Impact heavyweight champion Moose. Again, just thinking that if maybe Mickie James is opening the door a little bit, that maybe if you want to get a little bit more involved with that he seems like a logical fit. So Moose is my number 3. My number 2, Stacy Keibler. Stacy Keibler. Yeah, I don't think she's been back for a women's rumble, right?
Mm-mm.
Like she
mold?
she fits the mold, right? She's a legend.
Man, to see Stacy Keibler and Cameron in the ring together. Woo!
Now, come on now listen. Stacy was never an amazing performer, but guys, she was popular. Really popular. I mean, she managed the Dudley. She managed Scott Steiner for a little while. Test. Yeah, she was a major player during her time. Gorgeous girl. I don't know what she's up to now. I haven't heard a peep about her being involved in wrestling even since these rumbles have started, and even like the Evolution pay-per-view. That would give me a pop to see Stacy Keibler come in and be thrown out in 10 seconds by Tamina. My number 1, he says that he is ready to do a comeback, that he's injuries or whatever is healed up, and he hasn't been in the ring, in a WWE ring, in a long time, is X-Pac. Everybody says that again, because he's kind of announced like, hey, I'm ready to return. So, how cool would that be? He's a guy, again, just he was part of the NWO, part of DX. He's a Hall of Famer with NWO in that sense. And he was talented. He was a guy who really, set the stage for smaller, high-flying wrestlers. The stuff that he did when he was especially 1, 2, 3 kid back in the day, nobody was doing that stuff, at least on WWF programming. So I'd love to have one last run of X-Pac, whether that's just a rumble and maybe he does, a match or 2 after that. I certainly don't need to see him every week, but I think that's a cool spot. So he gets my number 1. Who would like to go next?
I'll go.
Go ahead, Joe.
All right. Disclaimer, I don't think any of these are going to happen.
That's fine.
For the sake of the 5 count, I decided to just have some fun with it.
That's more than okay.
All right. Number 5, Jason said no AEW guys. I got 2. And my number 5 is Daniel Bryanson.
Yes.
His wife's going to be there. Might as well travel with her. So, little pop. He doesn't do the yes chant anymore. He did a love letter to the WWE on his way out. His father-in-law still works there. A one and done thing. We know he's not going to win, but it's like for him to do the yes chant again because he doesn't do it in AEW out of respect. Why not? Not going to happen though.
Love it.
Okay.
Yep.
Number 4 for Impact Hall of Famer, Gail Kim, just so she can eliminate herself again.
Wait, what?
Gail Kim, so she can come in and eliminate herself again, like she did on her last time in the WWE ring in the Battle Royal.
Oh my God, I don't remember that.
You don't remember that?
No.
Yeah, look it up. Her last, she quit the company on a live episode of Raw because they told her to just go out quick. So she entered the women's Battle Royal and eliminated herself and just walked backstage, never to be seen in a WWE.
Oh my God.
Again.
Okay, I will pull that up.
Okay, number 3, not going to happen, but Jericho, because that's where all the rumors are coming from. But I want him to come out to break the walls down, but I want the crowd to sing Judas. I want to hear this countdown, and they're like, break the wall, and everyone's like, I become. But like, I want to see like the total cluster in this. That
would happen. Yeah,
that would happen. Like, because we didn't think that the crowd would be chanting delete at WrestleMania 33 when the Hardys came back, and they did.
Right.
Number 2, Impact, NWA, and GCW, King of the Deathmatch, Matt Cardona. As Matt Cardona, not Zack Ryder. That's what I would like to see, him come out and just, not going to win, obviously, but I mean, he hasn't trashed the company. He said eventually he'd like to go back, but right now he's having too much fun and making too much money. So Might as well keep always being ready. And what better way to say you're always ready than to be ready for the Rumble? Number 1, lights go out. Yes, I'm doing the lights go out, and it's not Aleister Black or Malachi Black. No. It's not Sting.
Oh.
Lights go back on. The Fiend is in the middle.
Oh, hey now. Okay.
That's a good one.
Okay. I like that.
We haven't seen him. And they're saying, like, there's rumors he could come back, but I'd like to see him come out. Not the song or anything, but it's like the lights go out, it's all dark, and the lights come back in, and the Fiend is standing in the middle.
That'd be pretty
just special. Eliminating people. The place would go nuts.
Agree. That's great, Joe. I know you said those are unrealistic, but a couple of those I'm really pulling for. Those are pretty good.
Gail Kim.
Yeah, that's that one I'll scratch off the surface on that one. All right, Kevin, wrap it up.
You got it. Number 5. Brian, I do have more than 5, but I have to include this in my 5 because you said exactly the points that I wanted to say of you getting let go, getting brought back, this being Samoa Joe.
Joe.
And then you get the announcement right after the Rumble saying,
Vince is gonna fire you.
This is gonna be like, fans, don't get excited. Samoa Joe is still no longer employed.
Right. He doesn't work here.
Number 4, this ex WWE alum just was on Busted Open recently. Not Moose. Moose was on earlier this week, a couple weeks ago. Enzo. I'd like to see Enzo come out as my number.
Put him down.
Say what?
I almost put him down.
I want him as my number 4, and I'm going to keep it short because number 3, he fought against Moose this past Sunday, not Cardona, Morrissey, otherwise known as Big Cass. I'd like to see in Big Man that he looks like $1 million. Dude is shredded. Dude looks good. I need to go find that match because listening to Moose on Busted Open, it was I listened to it yesterday. It was the Tuesday show. He just put over Cass about like his story about, getting let go of the WWE, getting a massive drinking problem, like his life falling apart. And then like woke up one day, he's like, okay, I need to get myself together, and wanted to make it, quote unquote, not being cheesy, an impact, right? Get into shape, get better in the ring. Like, don't feel sorry for yourself. And he looks phenomenal. That was number 3. Number 2, Matt Cardona. I would love it. And this is the thing. As much as I want Mickie James to come out with her old or her current music for Impact, just because she's the champ, Cardona, I'd love to see him just come out. Now he doesn't have to wear Zack Ryder stuff, but if I heard the radio,
that would be fun.
Like I would pop. I think I would hit my head on my ceiling fan. In number 1, this is the only one I really think that could actually happen on my list. Mickie James's husband, Nick Aldis.
Oh, okay.
He did just sign a new contract with NWA, but not huge competition with WWE, and being the husband to Mickie James. That's truly the only male Forbidden Door entry that I could see. Maybe like Samoa Joe or who's the little guy who put that amazing video package, not Rockstar Spud. What was his name in WWE?
Drake Maverick. Yeah.
That would be like a cool, and that was on my list just because of that video package. After that never heard anything from him. Probably working at McDonald's or Wendy's or something.
Yeah. Where was MJF? Was he like on the honorable mention?
He's booked in AEW.
It's like, or no one. I was expecting someone to say Danhausen.
And then Jade didn't give his top 5, but remember, Jade said Paul White and Mark Henry.
Yeah, so I certainly hope not. I mean, I love Mark. Paul White, no thank you. No big show for me. But those are great. You guys got some lists that I'm like, if those happen, I'm a big fan of. So we'll mark those down. That's this week's 5 count.
Who made your 5 count? Let us know on social media using the hashtag TWP5count.
All right, before we wrap things up, we do have to wrap up the NFL picks. What a week 18. Not just for the picks, but in my life. We'll get into that in a second, guys. The dream has happened. The dream has happened. The mega flight is happening. The kids went into week 18 tied. They leave tied. And that's how the season ends. The record is 26-24-1. So they were just a smidge over 500 for the season. Brett had the Cowboys over the Eagles. So he went up one game. The kids both had the Rams over the 49ers. The Rams lost, but that was overtime.
Mm-hmm.
Cowboys, Eagles, the Cowboys whooped the crap out of them. So Cowboys gave Brett a nice, good win there. But yeah, that Rams Niners game was a coin flip. And then Sunday night, Raiders and Chargers, and the Raiders pulled it out. And so the Harper ends up getting the tie. But guys, I have to say something. I've never felt so much of a certain way for a football game. As you guys know, my Steelers, they won over the Ravens. The Colts sucked it up against the Jaguars. Unbelievable. The Jaguars really kicked their ass. It wasn't even that close. So, oh my gosh, the only thing that has to happen is that these two teams, the Raiders and Chargers, don't have to tie. I've never felt this way before, guys, because I was rooting for both teams. I'm like, when the Raiders got ahead, it's like, go Raiders. And then I think the Chargers took the lead at some point. It's like, okay, go Chargers. And I knew, though, that things went from good to slightly not good when the Raiders were up 12. And I'm like, they can't tie. The Chargers aren't going to get, 6 safeties. Right? Like they're not going to get 12, right? But the Raiders kicked a field goal to go to 15. I'm like, shoot, that can be tied. That's a touchdown. That's a touchdown with a 2-point conversion. And my God, I don't know if you guys, Kevin, you were up. Joe, you probably were asleep. Maybe you saw some highlights. But the Chargers made like 4 4th downs in a row.
It was amazing. Mike Williams, I think, caught every single one.
They scored
or some no-name tight end.
They had a touchdown with no time left. They kicked the extra point. They go to overtime. Both teams end up kicking field goals, and it looked like the Raiders were about to just run out the clock, because if they tied, they were both in the playoffs. And I'm just like, you got to be. I felt like I was going to throw up.
You had poop in your BVDs, didn't you?
I was.
A tie would have been both teams get to the playoffs. Not one of the Steelers, because they tied the Lions.
Right. And Harper would have lost against Brett.
Yes, and Brett. Yes, and then exactly. Like even if the Chargers won, then Brett would win. If the tie happened, Brett would win. He needed the Raiders win. But that was so, in my mind at the moment, I was so secondary. I was just like, we can't have a freaking tie. Like, what is going on? And it was this close to happening. The Raiders kicked a 47-yard field goal to win with time expired. I did a shot immediately after. I couldn't go to sleep for another hour because I was just so amped. It was so weird because normally you're rooting for one team. But like when the Chargers, would have the ball, it's like, okay, we'll get a touchdown and win. Like it was so weird. Never want to go through that again.
In kind of relating to wrestling, right after the game, on Twitter, Iron Sheik, he throws some really funny tweets. Did you see his tweet?
No.
Oh, it's hilarious. He said, even Chris Webber wouldn't have called that timeout.
Bubba. In all caps.
Wow, Bubba, yes.
In all caps.
Oh, cheeky baby.
I read that, and it was 5 minutes after the game, and it was 300 retweets or 300 comments immediately, and I'm like, oh man. But yeah, I woke up because I traveled that Monday. I had to wake up at 5 o'clock, so I had to be out my door at 5:30, going to bed at 12:30 to watch the rest of that game. Right after, I'm amped up because it was a great game.
It was.
It was a fantastic really game. Well. And me and you were just talking. We're like, mega flight. And then you're like, don't jinx it. And then, of course, 8 minutes into the game, I put a GIF, 10 beers. Right. And I had it on my phone. Brian, you don't know this. For half the fourth quarter and most of the overtime. It was the two cats with their beers. It was just sitting in my phone. I wanted to press it because Brett winning alone, perfect. Yeah. Sweet. Harper winning alone, perfect suite. This one, I don't know. There's something special because there's no losers and we both win.
Yeah.
And
yeah. Harper's excited.
I woke up the next morning to 22 missed text messages
with a lot of
it.
GIFs.
A lot of that. The video, like 12:20, Brian with the video going on. So I'm like, okay, I'm guessing that the Steelers are in the playoffs. Someone won.
Man, that was an absolute mess. I couldn't believe I was watching that. It felt like I was watching like the horror movie, like the whole time of like, this is how it's going to happen. This is how Big Ben's career is going to end because they're tying. Like, oh, I was beside myself. But nevertheless, the picks. Season 2 is in the books. Will there be a season 3? We'll see. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. But as we talked about earlier, Kevin's coming up for GCW, so maybe we'll film a little reaction video. We decided the 12 mega flight. Probably, stranger things have happened, but probably not going to happen during this encounter of us. But there will be certainly a drink or two shared. But the 12 beer mega flight will happen at a later date. Will be filmed at some sort of way and shared with all of you guys on our social media. Speaking of which, it is at thatwrestlepod. Got it right this week, Jay.
Hey.
And that's where you can find out all of our stuff that we share for Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Don't forget whatamaneuver.net for all the merch. And we will talk to you guys next week. Will Jason be here? We'll see. Tune in next week and find out. And thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Joe. That has been this week's That Wrestling Podcast. Enjoy wrestling, everybody.
Thanks for listening. Follow That WrestlePod on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube.
1, 2, 3, that's it!